All right, on the show today, the man, the myth, the legend, the guy that I always run to when I have questions related to technology, our CTO, Mr. Felipe Rodriguez. How are you, brother?
Awesome, man. Glad to be here. Excited.
We're heading into 2025, and you and I were going back and forth on text messages, and I was like, what are you excited for, over the next 12 to 24 months in the tech world? What do I got to keep my eye on? What are you pumped about?
Man, there's been a lot of things happening in the tech world, right? I mean, as you started, you look back when OpenAI released ChatGPT, what that did to the world, right? Boom, right? This new tool, this, magical tool that did all kinds of cool things for not only individuals, but society. So I think that's going to continue to 2025. What I'm mostly excited about is, continued adoption of AI. And, I don't know if you've heard the news, but Google just released Willow, right? Quantum computing on steroids. So I'm really looking forward to that.
So talk to me about Willow, because I'm curious to learn more, some of the stuff that, how it's going to impact everything that we do, even the crypto markets. But is Willow something that, we should be serious about? And I take a step back to the last 25 years when there was this thing called Watson by IBM.
Yeah.
And now AI is here and I never hear Watson.
Correct.
So what is Willow and why should we be excited about it?
So good question. So let's take a look back, right? From when it comes to technology, like every progress is completely exponential.
Yeah.
Right. So the reason you don't hear about Watson anymore is because, there's a greater new technology out there that's completely replaced Watson.
Yeah.
Right. Let's talk about Willow a bit. Right. So why Willow is making so much noise is that so with the last 30 years, quantum computing, right, has been in the works, right, by scientists.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing is that in order for you to scale quantum computing, it becomes extremely difficult, right? The more you scale it or try to scale it, the more it's prone to errors.
Okay.
Right? So now the scientists at Google have done is like they stacked all this computing power and they made it where they lose, right, the margin of errors.
Yeah.
So now they reduce the margin of errors now, so they get exponential power in computing process that has not been accomplished over the last 30 years. Right. So give you an example, right? So quantum computing, in the case of Willow, was able to solve, right, a problem within 5 minutes that would take a classical computing method that we use today, one of the most powerful computers, over it was 10 septillion years.
I saw that. Yeah.
10. I think it's 25 zeros, right?
Yeah.
So that's longer than the age of the universe. That's insane.
That's insane.
Insane. So, I'm a big fan of Naval.
Yeah.
So
I love him too.
Yeah. So one of the things that drew me to it is like, wait a minute, I've seen this before, right?
Right.
There was a guy, David Dutch, that predicted, right, that that we could be living in a multiverse.
Right.
And it's all coming to some maybe fruition in the sense that quantum computing may or may not, right, prove that to be right or wrong.
What's crazy, because, the joke goes around, we need to unplug from the matrix, again, sort of
Correct.
on the internet. And I'm like, there are some things that are starting to crack and you're just like, wait a minute, what is this all about? And folks used to, laugh, conspiracy theory, what have you. But now it's kind of being used in tech circles as like,
It's here.
It's here. And you're kind of like, wait a minute.
So now you start questioning. It's like, wait a minute. All these things are coming out. They match the story. They match the script. Is it real?
Right.
So it's good things to start paying attention to those things.
I'm paying attention to the drones over in Jersey, but
don't get me started. Don't get me started. But again, going back to Willow, right? In the sense that there's a lot of good things that are going to come out of that. We're at the very, very early stages when it comes to that. It's talking about decades away from it. But could it come to provide good insights, right? And revolutionize perhaps medicine, right?
Yeah.
How we sort of detect DNA in the molecular objects when creating prescription drugs and stuff like that. In clean energy, things that has been difficult to compute.
Correct.
Willow may be opening the doors for that, right? Now, there's conspiracies out there saying, whoa, you introduce, something with such high computing power. Could it break what's existing now? Could it break crypto? Could it break the blockchain? Right? Because blockchain was founded on the fundamentals that is private, is secure, is unbreakable.
Right.
Well, now you bring Willow into the mix.
Yeah.
What's going to happen to it? Now, I've been reading about it. It's like, sure, there's theoretical knowledge and power behind it that may prove to be right. but blockchain is not easy to break.
Mhm.
And just to give you some ideas, right? In order for it to break some part of the blockchain right now, it'll take 13 million qubits, right? Qubits are the unit of measure within Willow,
Mhm.
right? The existing Willow has 105 qubits.
Interesting. And you could also modify the blockchain, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
correct.
So you
correct.
could kind of be one step ahead of all of it.
So everyone's already working towards that. Everyone's working towards, protecting themselves in making sure that it's protected at quantum mechanics, quantum physics, quantum computing from a blockchain security standpoint.
Very, very cool. Talk to me about AI.
Oh,
AI came on the scene, ChatGPT, 2 years ago. And I know at least for me, I find myself using it more and more every day.
It's part of my toolbox.
It's part of my toolbox.
It's part of my daily toolbox, right? Part of my daily toolbox. And whereas before you used to rely on Google quite a bit.
Yeah.
Now it's mainly, for me, ChatGPT.
ChatGPT. If I'm Google, I'm worried because it is eating the search's lunch.
Yeah.
I would say north of 50% of my searches now are through ChatGPT.
Yeah. And the more society, right?
Right.
We become more used to that type of prompting.
Yeah.
It's going to make it easier. And there's going to be a birth of more technologies, right?
Yeah.
That use prompting as a way to interact with consumers, right? In the customer service space, we see it in, day in, day out. Before the days of the IVR.
Right.
Press 1 for English, press 2, right? Once consumers, right, get used to interacting with a ChatGPT, was fully conversational.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm calling about, my product that's not here, or it came in broken.
Yeah.
How can I, I need an exchange. That AI or that IVR on steroids is going to be able to sort of fulfill those needs. So I'm really excited about what that's going to bring for customer service, for the space, for the industry, for consumers, right? Like I was saying, to me, ChatGPT is part of my daily toolbox.
Yeah.
And I see it also the younger folks, demographics, right, using it as well. My kids use it on a daily basis for school.
Really?
And it's not so much, they're cheating. No. Like even for my son, he's going through midterms now.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, no, I have geometry, but I like to put these examples through ChatGPT because I can ask ChatGPT to explain it in a way that is easier for me to understand it.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, they had a great segment on 60 Minutes a couple weeks ago, which is like the AI tool just being the greatest tutor of all time.
Correct.
So you sit there and I think about the way that I use it for work and I'm like, you're 100% right. The best explanations I've heard, at least for this phase of AI, is this co-pilot that every day you're sitting with an agent and it's right there. And that now I think about it, I got 2 screens, dual screens, and one is all day OpenAI. And it's just quick queries like, I drop something in the node and give me this calculation, or find me 5 competitors in this space, or, I'm putting together this, sometimes you're writing and you're like, just clean this up a little bit. And then they give you a couple different ideas or add humor. And you're like, oh my God, yeah, it's just making me more efficient.
More efficient. Being able to address issues outside of your existing knowledge, outside of your domain.
Correct.
Right? The team of developers that we have, right? They're drinking the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
It's part of their toolbox, day in, day out.
Yeah, it has to be part of your toolbox.
They don't
every
work
day.
without a ChatGPT or an LLM, right, of some sort besides them, because it just makes them better, right? To be able to code between languages and this and that, it's able to assist you. To walk you through it.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's wild. I think about the way that we do implementations now than what we did 2 years ago, and integrating AI with it. It has made our lives so much easier, saved us so much time. We're in the BPO space and people keep asking me, are you worried about, the agent community and they're getting replaced? I go, look, I've gone through this 100 times. IVR was going to put us out of business, interactive voice response, voice recognition softwares, and they're all really great tools, but it hasn't sort of clicked. With this I keep telling people is like, your customer experience on the back end is going to be better. Correct. And we're going to run more efficient. I also think for the agent community, it's going to help turnover is the agents are going to do a lot of less admin running around casework, and they're just going to be focused on the consumer, where we're at, in the scripting and whatnot. Exactly.
How many times has it happened to you? It's happened to me quite a bit.
Yeah.
You call customer service for any XYZ company.
Well,
say, hey, I have a product, I have an issue with this product or this question I need help with. And they're like, sorry, I can't help you with that.
Correct.
And then they transfer you to somebody else, and
Yeah.
you have to repeat the same story over and over and over.
Yeah.
Right? That happens oftentimes because that agent, he or she, may not be trained to solve those issues.
Correct.
AI can solve all those things for that agent.
All of
Right?
it.
Because now they have this access to, extensive knowledge bases of like, oh, this customer is requesting or calling about an issue about X. Even though I was not trained for X, I can handle X because I have access to knowledge.
Correct.
Imagine what that does to the consumer, right? I call in, those issues are resolved on the first try. I hang up happy.
Yeah.
It's a win-win-win.
Yeah.
So am I afraid for what it's going to do to the space? No, I'm actually very excited about what's going to do to the space.
Yeah, it's going to make that experience for the consumer, for the agent, for the people who run it, and be more efficient, just a heck of a lot better. All the big players are in it. Google, Microsoft, obviously OpenAI, on and on. Who do you think, if we look back in 5 years, are going to be the big winners?
Well, all AI companies rely on one thing and one thing only: data. Right? The more access to data they have, the better it's going to be for them to train it, continue to grow it. Right? If you look back, Microsoft is going to be one of those players that's going to stick around.
Yeah, I agree.
Right? They have access to, all the data that enterprises consume, generate, and so on. That's going to be here to stay. There's going to be a lot of players that perhaps may not make it. Right?
Yeah.
Like during the .com bubble. Right. This massive hype, massive amount of investments that went into the space. Some did not make it, but the true winners came out. I'm waiting for that shakeup to take place because you'll see companies like Microsoft, the Apples of the world, right?
Correct.
That perhaps are not diving themselves right into the AI, but navigating the space carefully and saying, you know what, let me see what I can do from an investment standpoint, from an integration standpoint, before I go out and develop everything's full force. So I'm looking for Microsoft, Apple, to come out strong.
Yeah, huge forward investments they've all made, right? Always. I mean, multi-billion-dollar bets. Pretty soon here, they're going to have to start capitalizing on it because investors are going to be like, hey, man, you guys just burned tens of billions of dollars.
Sure.
Where's the return? I'm curious. And by the way, there's probably a player that hasn't, we don't know, that's not a household name, that hasn't popped up on our radar that's going to do really, really well.
Yeah, and companies have to be extremely careful with it. I was reading an article a few weeks ago that now for 2025, a lot of companies are sort of looking at the experimental factor of AI and say, okay, what can we sort of monetize, or what can we put into production, that is just not so much experimental anymore.
Right.
A lot of companies are burning a lot of cash. Forward investing, infrastructure.
Yeah.
You hear all the massive investments that NVIDIA is making, X, SpaceX, all these big companies are making. Yeah. At some point, we got to make it work.
Right. And that's why I kind of lean on the big boys still coming out ahead and winning because they're the only guys that have been able to, they have huge cash reserves. So an Apple, a Microsoft, they're sitting on, whatever the number is at this point, 200 billion in cash, whatever. They can burn $10 billion in cash and make a mistake and then burn another 10. Not a great business, but they can do it.
It's part of their model.
It's part of their model. A new startup, OpenAI has raised a crap load of money. They do have Microsoft as a backer, but like they're still building their company and their team, and then they got to burn, and then they don't have the engine on the back end like a Google who has, a huge moat in search and generates a lot of cash year over year. So it'll be interesting to see who wins this race.
It'll be interesting. But again, I'm counting on those companies that have sort of lean processes, right? That they can
well-run businesses.
Yeah, well-run businesses, right? You recall what Microsoft did during the pandemic. Remember, if you remember Microsoft during the pandemic or the industry, you had Zoom.
Yeah, man.
You had Microsoft Teams.
Slack.
And Microsoft Teams was known, but it was not a widely adopted tool.
Slack.
It was Slack.
Yeah.
Zoom. The dominant. Microsoft said, let's shift all these developers to Teams.
Yeah.
And just leapfrogged everyone.
Yeah, and they dominated.
And they became dominating.
Yeah. What else are you looking forward to in 2025 from a tech standpoint?
In addition to AI, quantum, I want to see more adoption of the blockchain.
Okay, why?
I think organizations are going to start leveraging blockchain.
Yeah.
Now that's become more mature.
Yeah.
Right. More transactional, more high speed. And I see some governments paying attention to the blockchain itself.
Yeah.
And sort of giving them the thumbs up Sort of accepting that blockchain is here to stay. And there may be some really good use cases for that, right? We see the banking industry that's been operating on the Swift technology for decades and many years that it has a lot of limitations, right? So blockchains and sort of cryptos that can facilitate the growth and expansion of that, especially as we continue to globalize a lot of these economies and the marketplaces. I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
You hear tokens of XRP and so on. So
yeah, it's cool. So the other one I heard was media on the blockchain. And what I mean by that is it's a way to skirt around deep fakes. So this is an official, post by a politician and it's on the blockchain. Like this is not
you
a
said
deep fake.
It doesn't go away.
It doesn't go away because you've seen it. The technology around deep fakes is so good right now. And it's only going to get better. And then you have all the AI video, you and I were messing around with NVIDIA Playground. Like it is so good. Sooner or later, they're going to put videos of you and me doing a podcast right here and it could be bogus, right?
Correct.
So putting it on the blockchain, I think is going to be, rather important.
It is. And there's going to be a lot of information that's out public, right? So, putting media on the blockchain is going to help with a lot of that.
Yeah.
Some of the things that I'm also concerned about is security of, involvement of AI.
Yeah.
Like, just like you said, we're here, having this pleasant conversation on the podcast. Your voice is now public. My voice is now public.
Right.
We can duplicate our voices, and it's happening quite a bit.
Yeah.
Where now AI is able to bypass, biometrics. When people call in and sort of, say, hey, I am Felipe Rodriguez.
Yeah.
This is, my voice. I authorize this.
Right.
It may not be really me. So how do we combat that? It's all going to be fascinating, but there's going to be some use cases, and it's going to be a lot of educating consumers and society about how to identify fakes.
Yeah.
So all that.
Well, I think another big bet 2025 is just cyber in general, right?
Yeah.
Knock on wood, we have not gotten a mega cyber attack. Corporate companies, big corporations have been hit really bad this year, the airlines and so on and so forth. But as a call it more of a global standpoint, we've been pretty safe. You get some banks, whatever, but if you hit a hospital system, you hit the power grid, we're in a world of trouble. So keeping an eye on cyber, I think it's a big thing or at least a big theme for 2025. You think even 5G, man, where we're, integrating more and more sort of the Internet of Things when you're looking at the cars, the robo cars and whatnot. You're going to need a strong network to support that. And little by little, we're starting, you've been hearing about 5G and getting to where it needs to be. We're starting to slowly get there. And then what other businesses can you build off of that? Right? Because if you think about, Uber's a great product, but without the technology of the iPhone, of that system, and then the bandwidth that we built on the 4G and the reliability and on the heels of Google Maps, you would never have been able to build Uber, right? But once you built those systems, then they layered on this really cool company called Uber, and we were able to get all the things that we get now, cars on demand and food whenever you want.
Correct. And to your point, that's all exponential technology, right? Like,
but
by the time you finish with 5G, there'll be 6G, 10G,
right?
However G's, right?
Yeah.
You got to keep doing it. You got to keep investing, but you got to keep doing it in a way that it protects your data.
Yeah.
Right. Because once you lose trust, right, due to a cyber attack, something like
that.
No. It can
set you back.
It can throw society into
correct.
Big chaos.
Yeah, and then the innovation stops because government will put all kinds of rules and regulations, and it slows it down, and it becomes a disaster. No, listen, I'm pumped about the future. I'm pumped about tech. Definitely, hopefully, we find out if we have a multiverse or not. A real one.
Let's find out. I keep reading the book, the Beginning of Infinity by David Deutsch.
Yeah,
such a hard read.
It's a hard read.
It's super hard read. Super hard read. But it's one of those things that you read it again, it's like, well, makes you think.
I'll go into ChatGPT and ask him to recap the thing in 30 seconds or less. All right, I got a game for you today. You ready?
Let's do it.
You invest, so you understand the concept of buying and selling.
Sure.
I'll give you a term, a word, or whatever, and you say you're buying or selling. Okay. Ready? First one, AI.
Selling.
You're selling. Why are you selling?
I'm waiting for the shakeup.
You're waiting for the shakeup.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
You're going to get it on the rebound.
Yeah, for sure. But you know what? I'll sell puts.
You'll sell puts. There you go. Okay. Robotaxi.
Buying.
You're buying the robotaxi. Yes. I am too. I was just in California, and they're everywhere. San Fran and LA. And I think more and more I'm drinking the Kool-Aid on robotaxi.
Well, not only that, this upcoming administration is going to release and remove a lot of the regulations around robotaxis. I was reading that this administration is going to remove the full self-driving vehicle crash reports that they must comply with.
Really?
So,
I'm ready, man. I mean, that is going to shake up a lot of industries, because once you start getting into how many people have, as a profession, some form of driving, truckers, even Uber drivers.
Sure.
What happens? What happens to Uber in general? All right. Cold plunge.
Oh, man. I think I'm going to say sell.
You're going to say sell. Why sell?
I think there's been so much hype around it. And if you look at the reality of the cold plunge, the big thing about it brings a lot of benefits.
Yeah, right.
But you got to be extremely consistent with it.
Yeah, and you got to do it a lot more.
A lot.
Yeah. And then you sort of cap out of the benefits.
Right. So it's not just a one-time thing, twice a week. You got to do it every day.
You got to do it every day.
Consistently.
Yeah.
Right. For it to just see the results.
Yeah.
I don't think people are, have that high level of discipline.
I'm with you. I'm going to sell NVIDIA Blackwell chip.
Short-term sell.
Short-term sell. Why?
Sell. I think they're still operating. I think the hype is a bit overblown right now.
Okay.
Right. Like I was saying, now it's going to come to 2025. A lot of companies have to realize: do we keep investing? Right.
Right.
How do we monetize this? So there may be some sort of stale coming into the market until that comes back alive.
Okay. There's a drink out of the Dominican Republic called Mama Juana. Are you buying or selling?
Oh, buying 100%.
It has a lot of benefits. All right. Bitcoin.
Buying.
Buying?
Yes.
Reddit.
Buying.
Red light therapy.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think I'll buy that one.
You're going to buy that one. I want to see the benefits. Mixed results. It's, I think, the 2025 version of Sauna Cold Plunge.
Yes.
But I mean, there are so many products out there and people swear by them. We will see. TikTok.
Man, I have mixed feelings about that one.
Okay.
Mixed feelings about
Let's
that
go.
one. I'm going to short it.
Okay.
For the first half of the 2025.
Why for the first half?
Because this administration, I think, is going to try to.
It's tough on China.
It's tough in China.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's going to try to, there's a lot of data behind it. That's a huge market.
Well, yeah. So as a product, it's fantastic. It is 100 times better than IG and all this stuff. I think direct to consumer. I think the video. I mean, it just TikTok Studios is fantastic. I also think it's the greatest head fake by the other social media companies ever. It's an easy target, China. So Meta loves for you to go after TikTok.
Why not?
Google loves for you to go to TikTok. At the end of the day, all these companies have all of our data. It's rather silly to think and blame all of our problems. But it's a Chinese company, and this administration is tough on Chinese. I'm kind of with you. First half of the year, but I think long term, I'm buying TikTok.
Yeah, me too.
Enterprise software, enterprise SaaS software.
Good question. I'm still bullish on it.
Okay.
Right. Even though I think I've been reading a lot about this life cycle of, do we continue growing on the cloud? Do we come back on premise? So the good solid SaaS products like the like the Zendesk of the world, those are here to stay, for sure. Bullish.
Okay. Miami as a tech hub.
Dun, 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 dun.
I have mixed feelings on this one.
I have mixed feelings on that. I've been through so many cycles of Miami.
Yeah. Me too.
Right? And I am the biggest bullish around it.
Right.
I'm the biggest bullish.
I'm rooting for it.
I am rooting for Miami 1,000%.
I am rooting for it. I think that the problem is the really smart, talented tech bros. Number one is there's just such a great ecosystem out west, right? And other parts. But the second part about it is I think they come to Miami and they get corrupt. They see how much fun it is. And instead of programming, they're out partying.
So that's one thing, right? And also, remember, COVID hit.
Yeah.
Everyone got to work from home.
Correct.
So Miami became this spectacular place to come work from.
Yeah,
Right?
Right.
Not only that, if you came to work from other places while living in Miami, while still keeping your out-of-state salaries.
Yeah.
That became a no-brainer.
Right.
No-brainer. Now, the return back to the office comes in 2025.
Yep.
Coming in strong.
Yep.
You see Amazon, you see others enforcing it.
Yeah.
If these people that move to Miami decide to say, no, I'm going to stay in Miami, can they find qualified jobs
right
in the city or nearby?
Right.
So to be determined.
Yeah.
Right?
My theory is the only way that we make this happen is there's a lot of, so the good news is access to capital is here.
Yes.
We've got a bunch of big VCs that have moved here. The way that it happens is if one of those companies one of those VC funds goes, I just want it to hatch in Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's moving to Miami. We're going to do it here.
Mm-hmm.
But that said, we got a massive shot in the arm through COVID. I'm more in the wait and see.
Correct.
We'll see.
Yeah,
We'll see. All right. One last one. You ready?
Tell me.
Drones, buying or selling?
I'm selling.
Okay. Why are you selling?
Because they're about to shoot every single drone that they see in the sky today.
Oh, yeah. Hardcore regulations coming on drones, dude. I mean,
no doubt.
Absolutely. But it's cool as you think about, future warfare and how we conduct that warfare, spying. Just like everything, man.
Yes.
The drone and the drone technology. The one thing is I think that this administration is going to loosen up some of the regulation around drones. So we'll see. In light of what's happening right now in New Jersey, nobody knows. So
but you'll see. There's just some excitement around drones, package delivering. You know, in the city, on the suburb, it should be exciting.
Yeah, the future is here, my man.
It is.
Where can people find out about you?
LinkedIn.
Yeah, you're an active LinkedIn guy.
I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn as well, and Inktel.com.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on the show. We'll after the show we'll go drink some Mama Juana.
Let's do it. Bullish in that one.
Later.